this is where I believe you may have came across to him in 1975. And so, from what I could research and read online, was that Frank Lucas, he went to, well, you met him in the holding facility, but he would later go on to go to prison. But in
Right,
1975, his house was raided in New Jersey, and there was they found drugs, and then the authorities also found $584,000. And Frank claimed that they didn't even report all the money that was
right,
actually there at the house. But
right.
either way, he ended up going to prison for this. And
Yeah.
this is where you came across him. And so, where were you, Sal, when you met Frank Lucas? What was he like? What was the environment like? Who were some of the guys that were around?
Well, if he got busted in early 75, I didn't get to meet him until the spring of 75, maybe April, May, June, like that. And we were in the federal house of detention, the old federal house of detention on West Street in Manhattan. And I noticed that he was playing pinochle. And if I remember right, he actually played partners with Jimmy Burke because I was a partner with Dave Icavetti. In those days, you played pinochle, and if you won, you stayed at the table. And if you lost, another couple would come on. Another two guys would come on. And I noticed Lucas, who was a pretty good pinochle player, he was actually playing with the best card player you could ever want to meet because that's what Jimmy Burke was, an amazing card player. He had a great mind, a great memory. And when I played across from him, I stood up and shook hands because we lost. And I remember him gripping my hand. He had this strong grip, but when I looked at his hands, they were huge. His fingers were twice the size of any normal man's fingers, and he had a big, big gregarious laugh. He was kind of a funny guy. He was outgoing, and all the mob guys liked him. That's what I remember about him.
Any conversations you remember, like just saying hello to him, or what was the?
I remember him talking about a breeding bull that he bought.
Okay, what was
Like
that
he
about?
paid a couple of $100,000 because he had a farm down in North Carolina. And I heard that he paid, or he talked about this $400,000 breeding bull that he had down in North Carolina. So he did live an extravagant life. I think he got connected with Jimmy Burke because Jimmy had Jimmy had the hold on the guards that would slip in stuff in the prison. And
Yeah.
that was Jimmy's specialty, bribing officials.
Yeah, well, so like with him, he was well respected within that prison or the holding facility, I suppose, and he just really was able to connect with everybody and have a.
Right.
There was no beefs, nothing like that that you've
No,
seen him
no,
arguing or get mad or anything,
no. He was well respected. Everybody knew who he was. Even
including the
the
guards.
Yeah, everybody knew who he was. Yeah, I mean, in those days, there was probably, some dealers that were there from Harlem, and they probably told the hacks, the guards, "Hey, this guy's big time," and everybody knew. They knew who he was, and that's just because he stuck out. There was very few black guys, in that particular holding, that floor that we were on. Most of the Italian guys were on that floor.
Either way, he was able to get along with everybody, and
Yeah.
well, what was this holding facility like?
Oh, it was like the turn of the century detention center. It was the Federal House of Detention in Manhattan. Had no air conditioning. They had just put phones in there where you could call somebody. You had to reverse the charges, call collect, and there was always something going on. Of course, the Italian guys ran the control of the phones. Because you'd have to stand online to get a phone call.
Oh, well, so how long were you in this facility? Just a couple months?
I got there around February, March, and then in July, they closed that facility down and they opened a new holding facility, another house of detention down in the village, the lower part of Manhattan. It was located on Park Row, and it was a high-tech prison that had no bars, and it had electronic doors and cameras. And we were moved in. It was called. It was located on Park Row, right down in the Little Italy Chinese Chinatown area. So that's where they moved us. But I didn't see Lucas anymore after that.
No,
I was on the 7th floor with Jimmy Burke. Tommy DeSimone came in. Dave Icovetti was there. So we're both mostly Italians on that floor in the new house of detention. And I didn't see Lucas anymore.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip. This clip came from one of my interviews I did in the past. Please hit subscribe if you want to get more clips like this. Also, if you want to watch the full interview, I'll put a link in the description. Or you can hit the button on the screen to watch the full interview.